Imagine you are standing on Mars. The ground beneath your boots is rust-red and ancient. The sky above you is a pale, dusty butterscotch. Not black, not blue, something in between. There are mountains on the horizon, real ones, towering, quiet, impossibly still. For a second, it almost looks peaceful, almost like somewhere you could belong. Then your suit tears, not a dramatic explosion, not a movie moment, just a small puncture, a hiss, barely audible. And in less than 2 minutes, you are dead. Nobody tells you how gorgeous Mars actually is. The Curiosity rover has been rolling across its surface for over a decade now, sending back images so stunning that NASA had to explain to people they weren't fake. Sweeping dune fields, ancient riverbeds carved into stone like scars from a forgotten ocean, sunsets that bleed purple and blue at dusk, the exact opposite of Earth's warm orange. Mars sunsets are cold, and somehow that's beautiful too. From orbit, the planet looks like something out of a dream. Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the entire solar system, rises so high that its peak sits above most of the Martian atmosphere. It's so wide that if you stood at its base, the summit would be beyond your horizon. You wouldn't even know you were on a volcano. Valles Marineris, the Grand Canyon of Mars, stretches as long as the continental United States. It is so deep, so vast, so ancient that geologists on Earth still argue about how it formed. It looks like home. It looks like somewhere worth going. But something is very, very wrong. Here's the first problem. Mars has an atmosphere. Technically, it's just that it's made almost entirely of carbon dioxide, and it is 1% the density of Earth's. 1%. You know how when you climb a really tall mountain, the air gets thin and breathing gets hard? Imagine that feeling. But instead of hard, the answer is impossible. The moment your suit fails, you aren't slowly suffocating. Your lungs try to breathe and find nothing. Your body starts pulling oxygen from your own blood. Within seconds, your vision tunnels. Within a minute, you're unconscious. Within 2, your brain is already gone. And here's the thing. Even if somehow, impossibly, you could breathe the Martian air, you'd be inhaling CO2 at levels that would cause immediate convulsions. It wouldn't be peaceful. It would be violent. Your own body turning against itself in a panic it can't explain. The air on Mars doesn't just fail to support life, it actively ends it. But here's the problem. The atmosphere isn't your only enemy. The average surface temperature on Mars is negative 60 degrees Celsius, negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's colder than Antarctica in winter, colder than anywhere a human being has ever survived without extreme protection. And that's the average. At the poles, during winter, temperatures plummet to negative 125 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, carbon dioxide itself freezes and falls from the sky as dry ice snow. The entire landscape becomes a frozen carbon wasteland that no material science we currently have can fully protect against long term. But at the equator, during the day, temperatures can spike to a relatively balmy 20 degrees Celsius. So in the span of a single Martian day, the surface swings nearly 100 degrees. 100 degrees of thermal chaos every single day with no ocean, no moisture, nothing to buffer the swing. Your suit, your equipment, your habitat, everything is fighting a constant, exhausting thermal war. And eventually, something cracks, but it gets worse. Earth has a magnetic field, a giant, invisible, planet-wide shield generated by our molten iron core, deflecting the sun's most dangerous radiation. Solar flares, cosmic rays, charged particles moving at fractions of the speed of light. We don't think about it. We don't have to. It just works. Mars's core went cold billions of years ago. The magnetic field died with it. And when that shield disappeared, the solar wind stripped Mars's original thick atmosphere away over millions of years. Which is also why you can't breathe there. Which is also why the surface is so cold. So now, on Mars, you are standing on a planet with no shield. Every solar flare that the sun throws out hits the Martian surface directly. The radiation levels on Mars are 2 to 3 times higher than on the International Space Station, and astronauts on the ISS already hit their lifetime radiation limits in under 2 years. A round trip to Mars could expose you to enough radiation to significantly raise your cancer risk before you even land. And during a solar event, a significant coronal mass ejection, the radiation spikes so fast and so hard that any surface mission would need to immediately shelter underground. Because on the surface, in that moment, you are simply being cooked at a cellular level. And this is where things change. Because everything's so far theoretically survivable, with the right suit, the right habitat, the right shielding, but Mars has one more weapon, and it is invisible, planet-wide, and it never stops. The dust on Mars is not like Earth dust. It is not fluffy, rounded, harmless particles worn smooth by water and wind over billions of years. Martian dust is ancient, jagged, and chemically toxic. It contains perchlorates, a class of chemical compounds that are poisonous to human biology, disrupting thyroid function at even tiny doses. This dust covers everything. It coats solar panels, reducing power. It gets into mechanical joints, grinding them down. It infiltrates seals, weakens materials, clogs filters. In 2018, a global dust storm on Mars became so massive that it blocked sunlight across the entire planet for months. The Opportunity rover, which had survived 15 years on Mars, went silent. It never woke up. NASA sent over 1,000 recovery commands. Nothing. The dust had won. Now imagine that storm happening while you are there. Dust so thick the sky turns black at noon. Winds hitting 60 miles per hour, not strong enough to knock you over due to thin air, but strong enough to drive those toxic, razor-edged particles into every surface of your habitat at relentless, grinding speed. For months, you are trapped inside. Power is failing, and the dust is winning. But that's not even the worst part, because everything above, we know that. We've measured it, studied it, modeled it. The known dangers of Mars are already enough to kill you in a dozen different ways before lunch. What terrifies scientists quietly, the thing that doesn't make it into the press releases, is what we don't know. We don't fully understand the long-term psychological effects of 18+ months in a confined habitat on a dead world, 300 million miles from every human being who has ever lived. We don't know what chronic low gravity does to the human body long-term. We know bones weaken. We know muscles atrophy. We suspect the fluid pressure in the brain shifts in ways that may cause permanent neurological damage. But we don't know. We don't know what's in the deep subsurface. We suspect liquid water might exist under certain regions. And where there's water, there could be, theoretically, microbial life. Life that has evolved in total isolation for billions of years. Life that our immune systems have never encountered. Life that we would have zero defense against. We could survive every physical danger Mars throws at us, and be killed by something microscopic we never saw coming. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Mars was once, possibly, something like Earth. It may have had oceans, it may have had weather, seasons, maybe even the chemical building blocks for life. And then something shifted. The core cooled. The magnetic field died. The atmosphere bled into space. And in geological time, in what amounts to a blink, an entire world became a frozen, irradiated, toxic wasteland. Earth is not guaranteed. Nothing about our existence is guaranteed. The same forces that killed Mars are present here, just delayed. Our magnetic field will weaken one day. Our sun will expand. Our atmosphere can be lost. We look at Mars and we call it a destination, a backup plan, a future home. But maybe Mars isn't a destination. Maybe Mars is a warning. The universe didn't build itself for us. It was never designed with human fragility in mind. We are a thin layer of biology clinging to a lucky rock, looking out at a cosmos that would erase us without a second thought, and calling it exploration. Mars will kill you in minutes, not because it hates you, because it simply doesn't know you exist.